Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. This week, in an effort to continue to complete all of my 2025 reading goals, I will be finishing my book bingo. So in my reading journal, like a lot of other people, I made a book bingo without thinking too much about it. I was like, hey, if I can check these off, that would be so much fun. And I only have 3 left. So I feel like I kind of have to check them all off this year. I don't think I did last year. I don't even know if I came close. Maybe I just made them easier this year. But I have 3 left, so this is what we're looking at. This week, we are completing a backlist from an author, we are reading a book written in 1994, and we are reading a book set in the Netherlands. To start, very unfortunately, because I live in Canada and Libby does not work with ebooks on a Kindle in Canada. You can only read library books on a Kobo, which I don't have. So I will be reading a book written in 1994 that my library only had an ebook copy of on my iPad, and that is Insomnia by Stephen King. I have read one book on my iPad before, and I think I DNF'd it because it wasn't a great book, but also like this experience, not for me. I'm like not an iPad kid, but I also do not want to read it on my cell phone. So we'll see how it goes. I also looked it up on Goodreads quickly and I think it's over 800 pages. But that's book 1, written in 1994. I was born in 1994. I did a quick search of all of the best books written in that time and Stephen King came up and I thought, you know what, I think I've only read like 1 or 2 Stephen King books and they've been like, I think novellas. I don't know if I've read a full-length one. Don't really know what it's about, considering it's called Insomnia. I'm guessing someone can't sleep, but it's probably a horror book. We're like 2 weeks out of Halloween. I probably should have read this then. I will let you know how it goes. Okay, I just found the book that I'm reading on Spotify, but it is 25 and a half hours and I don't pay for the extra stuff, so I'm not sure when it will cut off, but I will listen to it as long as I can, as well as reading it. Oh, though on the iPad, is it easy to find where you are? Guess we'll find out.
The motor control problems may show up next, Dr. Jamal said in his comforting voice. He went further than that, however. So far as Ralph could tell from the books, he supposed he still bore Dr. Litchfield a grudge. It was Litchfield, after all. Ralph was positive that if he had asked the man about that point blank,
It is a couple of days later and I have already been proven wrong by this first book in 2 ways. 1, I am loving reading on my iPad. I did not think I would, but I can just like prop it up, have it sitting on my nightstand or wherever and just start clicking through. It's so nice. So that's a big win. Number 2, I got about 10% of the way through Insomnia and I was considering DNFing and I was like, let me just give it a little more time. It was just a bit boring. I feel like the setup took a little bit long. And now I'm about 25% of the way through and I am loving it. I fell asleep, my eyes were closing. I was like, I have to go to sleep, I can't keep reading. And now it's the next morning and I just want to keep reading. So that is a testament to how good the book is. Not once while I was considering DNFing it did I think that it was the writing's fault. I think Stephen King writes really well, which obviously everybody knows that or he wouldn't be as popular as he is. Here's a little synopsis. We are following a man named Ralph who is about 70 years old, I think he said, and his wife has just passed away from cancer about 6 months ago at the point I'm at now. But at the beginning, it's the little prologue chapter where she's ill and he is like, all I do is walk. I take care of my wife and I just walk for hours every day because when I'm with her, all I can picture is the fact that she's going to die and it's quite sad. And then she passes away at the beginning of the prologue and now we are following Ralph on this journey that he's taking because he has insomnia. So he is early to wake insomnia. So right now he's waking up close to 2 a.m. where I'm at. So he's getting about 3 hours of sleep every night. He tried going to bed earlier. He tried staying up as long as he could and he just cannot stay in bed past like 2:30 in the morning. It's getting worse and worse. At first I was like, is this just like a general fiction about a man with insomnia? Because that doesn't feel very Stephen King to me, but it's not. Because now we have a character who Ralph knows and he is going a little bit crazy, but he's very good at hiding it. Was arrested for domestic abuse and now he is doing these anti-women marches and protests. It's crazy that this is written in the 90s and I see so many parallels with the world as we have it right now, 30 years later. It's very sad actually that they are protesting against these clinics that help women. Ralph is like, wow, he's really kind of gone off the deep end, and then he has a conversation with him and this guy is seeing things and talking to somebody called like the Crimson King, and he's like, if you see the glow, you know what's going on. And he's like, this guy needs to be committed. But now Ralph, in his effort to find sleep and the fact that he's not sleeping, is starting to see people's auras and these glows and these lights. I'm really curious where it's gonna go. Like, is Ralph going to go off the deep end like this guy, or is he kind of like the light side of it? Is this guy also an insomniac, or is it something else that's leading him towards seeing these things? Are they real? Are they fake? I'm not sure. It's a little bit creepy. That's where I am right now. I'm enjoying the book. I am obviously going to keep reading it. I like that it is tackling, I was gonna say modern day issues, but in the 90s, this kind of weird sense of dread that I feel the whole time I'm reading it, which I don't love, but I didn't have any weird dreams and I slept great last night. So I don't think it's gonna give me nightmares, at least not at the 25% mark, but who knows going forward. So I'm gonna read for a little bit here. I'm gonna enjoy my coffee and then I'm going to walk these guys. And then we have a busy day ahead of us. So I'm not gonna get much reading done today, but I'm going to read as much as I can because this is going to be the last video I think coming out before I do Vlogmas. So I have less than 2 weeks to get this done. 4 books, which doesn't sound that bad, but because I'm prepping for Vlogmas and Christmas and we still have a little bit more Taskmaster with our friends, like I am feeling busy. So I think the fact that this book is good and I want to keep reading is a very good thing. Otherwise I would just keep putting it off and I'd be stressed at the end of these 2 weeks. But currently, I think it'll be fine. Hi, I am still reading Insomnia on my iPad and enjoying the iPad, like I said the other day. I'm about halfway through now. It's been a few days. It's taken me a long time to get through. It is. But yesterday got very interesting and I read a lot yesterday. When I got to about the 10% mark, I thought that this book was about like the startup of a cult from a small charismatic leader, and that's not at all what it's about anymore. So that's just kind of interesting that I was going to say that in my last update, and then I decided to wait and read more, and things have completely changed from then. I also just need to note there are so many characters in this book whose name start with D, like last name or first name, and I am getting them all confused with one another, and they have very opposing views about women's rights, and I never know whose opinion it is. So I think there's 2 people that are very important and the rest of them are kind of just side characters, so I'm trying to remember that as I read all of these D names. I was getting confused. I think I've figured it out now. Anyway, this book is interesting. I'm starting to think it's too long because up till the halfway point we were really just in Ralph's head, and it is really just his inner dialogue and what he's going through and if he thinks he's going crazy, and is he crazy because he believes it, or is he crazy because he's seeing things, and is it all because he's an insomniac, or is it something else causing the insomnia? And it's just kind of running through his head, and he's watching all these people around him and debating who to tell and who he can confide in. It gets a little bit long, and I think that's why I was feeling a bit bored. And now at the halfway point he has found a confidant and they're discussing the possibilities, and I really like the dynamic switch, so I'm enjoying that part of it now, that there is someone he can talk to about it and they can kind of brainstorm together, and it's bringing in new aspects of the story. At the crux of it, the story is actually about death, and it's really making me face mortality, which is a little bit scary. Eerie. It's just a little bit eerie and a bit weird. But I think it is about death and about how he can see the aura of people and if they're close to death or not, which is so strange. It's such a strange concept. And because it's a Stephen King book, I'm not sure if it's going to end happy or not, because I'm not sure how he ends his books. I would assume they're not always a happy ending. But yeah, it's just a little bit creepy. I'm excited to keep reading. I hope to finish today because I have 3 more books that I want to read in the next 7 days. I do have the whole weekend off for the first time in a very long time. I have no plans this weekend, so I'm just going to read all weekend. But I mean, it's only Wednesday, so I hope I can finish this book today. Maybe a small little spoiler. So if you don't want to know anything because you think you're going to read this book, maybe skip, but not a huge spoiler. There is something. He kills a dog, which I think is just so unforgivable. And my dog was on my lap last night while I was reading that part and I was crying. And that is the 2nd book in a matter of weeks that I have read where the dog dies, and I just can't handle it. And actually they told the story of the 3 gods or like the story of the 3 women who were the masters of death and like spooled the cord and cut the cord. And I thought it's very Hercules. And now that I'm saying that, I'm wondering if Hercules came out after this book. What year did Hercules come out? 1997. This book was published 3 years before Hercules even came out. So I made that connection, and it didn't exist for other people to make that connection when they read this book in 1994. And that's fun. So yeah, I'm halfway through. I think currently my brain says it's sitting at a 3.5, but because there's still 50% of the book left and it's a Stephen King book where I'm assuming there's some plot twists, it's probably gonna go up. I'm hoping it goes up, but also 3.5 isn't bad. I'm enjoying it enough to keep reading. It's 8:30 in the morning. I'm gonna go to work and then I'm going to read as long as I can today. It is 24 hours later and I'm back at my office about to start another work day, but I did finish the book last night. Technically this morning. I fell asleep with my headphones in and had to listen to the last 20 minutes this morning. I listened to the last 30% on the audiobook because I don't think I would have been able to finish it yesterday if I read it. I was just getting a little bit bored. Unfortunately, my opinion that I thought would increase went down a little bit. Yeah, that sucks because I was hoping that something really fun and exciting would happen, and I think it just comes down to not caring enough. I don't know. The first 60% of the book takes place over about a year, maybe a little bit more or less, I'm not sure, something like that. And then the last 40% is 14 hours and it just rushes through. So that kind of tells you how much setup there is. I think the idea of setting up a book that way is fun in theory, but it just kind of fell short for me. I love a big setup and then lots of fun stuff happening. I think that 14-hour time span wasn't exciting enough. Not that it was predictable, I think I just didn't care. I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe I just didn't feel that connected to the main character, Ralph. I do like that it started out as one thing and I expected the book to stay that way and then it totally focused on other parts. I think that's really fun, and like the beginning parts are kind of just peanuts compared to what happened, and it all kind of fits in, but it's not what the book was about. The book is not about what I thought it was going to be about, which I think is fun in other books. I don't know. I didn't dislike this book, okay? I don't regret reading it. That's kind of where I draw that line of how I rate a book. So it is a 3-star. I think if it was a 2.5, I would have regretted reading it, and I don't. I am glad that I read this book. I think it takes me out of my comfort zone of the usual genres that I read, which is nice. And Stephen King's a very good writer. Despite not loving the story, I really, really did like the writing, and I highlighted a lot of parts. I really liked the eerie, magical realism. I think that is a super fun aspect of the book, and the idea that this could be happening on another plane, and your everyday Joe Blow doesn't realize that these things are happening in the world and what death looks like and these auras that people emit in their everyday life. There were some metaphors used that were really good, but I think the rest of it just kind of wandered too much and didn't really fit in with the story. Like Ralph's mind wanders so much, which I think is good because in everyday life your mind does wander, but my mind does enough of that for myself that I don't really want to read someone else's meaningless thoughts that actually don't fit in with the story. I'm not sure, but I did like the magical realism part. And I think at one point he said he feels like, I was listening to the audiobook and I paused it to write this down. He feels like, I don't want to get it wrong. He feels like a character written into a fairy tale by a lunatic. And I thought that was a really fun way to break the fourth wall and for Stephen King kind of to say like, yeah, I know my brain works in weird ways and he is a character written into a fairy tale. Am I a lunatic? The one thing I really could do without is the 70-year-old man, or any man for that matter, describing every woman he meets by their level of attractiveness. And I think that that's common in books written by men, especially 30 years ago. So I'm not surprised by it, but I was so annoyed. It was like, I met this woman and she was wearing this and I found her really attractive. I don't know what this woman looks like. You have described what every man looks like that you've met. I know how much he weighs. I know what his hair looks like. I know what his facial hair looks like. I know what his complexion is. This woman, I know what she's wearing, and I know you find her attractive. Oh, that just like grinded my gears. And I think that also was maybe what brought my rating down, because it just kept happening at the end. I was like, dude, stop it. I don't care how horny you are. He said that a few times. Like, you're in this very serious position, and this is all you can think about, and this is all you can talk about, and I was annoyed. That is my final thoughts. So yeah, 3 stars. I was thinking it would be a 2.5, toying with that idea in my mind, but I think 3 stars, because I am glad I read it. Like I said, took me out of my comfort zone, and he's a good writer, and I think I should read more by Stephen King. I know this is not credited as one of his best works, so I only read it to fill my book bingo, which I did this morning. So written in 1994, and now we are going to do, I think we're gonna do completing a backlist first. So I have 2 Leigh Bardugo books that I need to read to complete her backlist, and I don't want to hear it, because if you're annoyed that I'm not reading the novellas and the, what do you call it, the graphic novels, I don't care. I am considering that I have finished her backlist by reading all of her full set novels. So I have them all up there. I have the Shadow and Bone series, I have the Six of Crows duology, I have the King of Scars duology, I have Ninth House, and now I have to read Hellbent and The Familiar, and then I'm done all of her novels that she has written up to this point. I think I'm gonna start with Hellbent. I might have to quickly look up what happens at the end of Ninth House. I think I vaguely remember. I remember Alex Stern. I remember a lot of the stuff that happens in the middle. It's been a long time since I read that book. Okay, I rated it 3 stars, and I read it in June 2024, so about a year and a half ago. I only gave it 3 stars. It took me a long time to get into, so I'm hoping this one's faster because it's a second book, and I really do like Leigh Bardugo's writing, so I'm not worried about that. Anyway, this is gonna be book number 2 of this video, and then you already saw book number 3, The Familiar. It took me a week to read Insomnia, and now I have a week to read 3 more books. Why do I do this to myself? Do you know personal space? No, of course not. I'm going to be so real with you. I looked up a summary of book 1, and if possible, if possible, I am more confused. There were a lot of names I don't remember. So I think I'm just gonna have to read for an hour and sit in that place of confusion until things start to get pieced together. Because I thought I remembered stuff, and then I was like, I don't remember the end. I watched a summary of the end, and I don't remember any of it. None of it rang a bell. I remember all the stuff from the middle. I'm gonna suffer in confusion for about an hour, and then we're gonna take them out. Because if I stop before then, or however long it will take, I won't want to keep going. I know that about myself. So I need to get past that annoying hump before I take a break. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, I did what I said, and I got about a quarter of the way through Hellbent yesterday. After like the first 50 pages, I really wanted to take a break, and then I said, I need to keep reading. And I kept reading, and it got really good. So I'm very happy I did that, or I might not want to pick it up today. But currently, I would like to read this afternoon. I also learned, when I marked this as reading on Goodreads, that the 3rd book I think is coming out next September. So I get to go through the song and dance of being confused all over again. I think it's so far a lot better than the first book and how I remember feeling about the first book, and that might be the timing that I read it. I think I remember thinking if I read this in another time I would have liked it more, but I still feel like because the first book is the background setup and character background and the story being set up, this just doesn't have that part because it's already kind of established. So I like it a lot more because it just dives right in. We're just a part of the story. We're in the story. I'm really liking it, actually. It is still at Yale, just like the first book. And in this one, they're kind of looking into some portal magic, which is very fun. Alex is trying to purge her old life while living her new one, where in the first book, she was kind of fake it till you make it. I feel like in the first book, if I remember correctly, and in this one, she is more, I really need to become this new version of myself for real, which I really like, this character switch that she's going through. Yeah, so they are hunting for a very specific thing on the Yale campus, and I think it's so fun. It's very Nancy Drew, but with demons, and like rated R Nancy Drew, which I think is better. Like, it's very high stakes. This is a very important process that they're going through and that they're trying to figure out while being university students, making money, doing the rituals that they have to do. I think it's doing a very good job at the Dark Academia, and I think that I'm reading this in the right season. I almost wish I read it in October because there is some reference to Halloween at the point I'm at now, and it's taking place in October. So I'm about a month late, but that's okay. I'm still really enjoying it. I am very glad, like I said, that I read as much as I did. I think I read, 130 pages. I'm on chapter 15, just about to start. So it's Friday night. I am home all weekend. I'm hoping to finish this today or tomorrow. We will see how it goes. Have to walk the dogs and give them a bath this afternoon, so I'm gonna start with that now. I think it's like 3:30. I already have leftovers for dinner, so I don't have to cook, so that saves me some time that I can spend reading, but we are gonna have a little bit of a date night as well. So whatever I don't read tonight, I hope to finish this tomorrow, and I'm glad that I'm enjoying it, so it doesn't feel like a chore that I have to do for a video. It feels like a book that I get to read. So that is my quarter of the way through update. Good morning, happy Sunday. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea and then we can talk about books. Oh, this is fun. As hoped, finished Hellbent yesterday. I read for most of the day and I had such a good time. This book stayed good, it stayed consistent. I really enjoyed it the whole way through. I think I liked it worlds better than the first one because I'm gonna remember this one by the time I have to read the third book, and I'm still struggling to remember parts of the first book. I think it just was very forgettable to me and maybe too much setup. I think it's poop time. BRB. Dogs have pooped. Tea is ready. Wish that I gave more updates yesterday. I was just having such a good time reading and I didn't feel like talking to a camera, so I took notes as I thought of stuff on my phone, and by taking notes I mean I texted myself when I thought of something. So you're gonna get this in chronological order of when I had the thought and not in maybe the best book review order, and I'm sorry for that, but I had a lot of thoughts, so I wrote them all down. Alex doesn't share a lot. And here's what I mean. She has these theories about things that are going on in her magic life, in a case that she is assisting on, and in her personal life. And she doesn't share these theories with anybody, and she really needs to learn how to trust people. And it got annoying because I was like, this could be beneficial. This could help everybody around you solve this faster, and you're just keeping it to yourself. So it was really annoying, but at the same time I was like, man, this is so consistent with her character and with her past, so I understand. But I was just annoyed by it because I was like, what if this is the big break and it's all in your head and you're not speaking it into existence? Sometimes it's good just to like spitball and get ideas out there, and then it makes things better, you know? She wasn't doing that, and I get it, and I'm annoyed by it simultaneously, and I think that's okay. I really enjoyed the description of demons in this book. I've read a fair number of books, I would say, with demons involved, whether it's urban fantasy or other fantasy, and they describe demons a little bit, and then they just expect people to be like, yeah, I know what demons are. I've watched Supernatural or whatever. This book really does a deep dive on demons and what they are and where they come from and the things that they enjoy. And the biggest thing is these puzzles and these riddles and these mind games and how cunning they are. And it's really fun because they're like trying to decipher if it was a puzzle and something they need to figure out, or if it was just an aside and had nothing to do with anything, these things that this demon said to them. And I thought that was so much fun. There is a new elderly man professor in charge of something in this book, and he has tenure. So I get why he can't get fired, but also he openly says that he doesn't think women should be at Yale and that universities should have never let them in and that they're the lesser sex. How are they not forcing this man into retirement? That's just a small sidebar because it just was so annoying. I was like, I don't think someone would get away with saying this. I just don't. It's too extreme. He could allude to it, but he outright was like, no, I don't think women should be here.
Guys.
I can wait. There is a point about halfway through this book where you suddenly get other people's perspective. And at first I thought it was kind of weird because I was like, I don't think that's ever been done before in the first book. But suddenly it became the best choice that Bardugo could have made. It made me see things from other people's perspective for the remainder of the book. And I was like, this is what they were thinking in that moment. So I'm guessing this is how they are now. And it just was this whole extra piece, which I thought was just so cool. I think that that is my favorite part of the book, is this halfway point. If you read it, you know exactly what point I'm talking about. There is also something that happens that really annoyed me. I think it's akin to like some people who think Jack could have fit on the door with Rose. It's that annoying to me, where I think that it's a huge hole. I could be wrong. It really, really, really bothered me. I was like, yeah, this could have gone better in an instant, and you guys just fucked it up for no reason. I don't know. I really didn't like that part, and I can't say what I'm talking about because it's a huge spoiler to the whole book and the end of the last book, which is why it bugs me so much, because it's such a huge part. It is the point of the book. The actual use of history in this book, I think it's so cool to have these magic pieces, same as the first book, these magic pieces and things that people created or that they found, and tying it to history. And it's usually shoddy history because of course history is pretty shoddy. So there's a lot with like these magical things that were used during the slave trade or the building of the railroads, and they call out the fact that it has a shady history. I think as you read this book, you can tell that Leigh Bardugo is very well read, just like in the quotes she uses and the references she makes, but also like so fun, and demons and puzzles and relationships and character development. And I really, really, really liked this book. So I'm giving it 4.5 stars. Like, I read 3/4 of the book in a day and I loved it and I had no problem with that, and I wanted to keep reading and it was really good. So 4.5 stars for this book by Leigh Bardugo. Then I read the first 2 chapters of The Familiar, which will finish my Leigh Bardugo backlist. So we're reading about Lucia in Spain is she in Spain? Yeah, she's in Madrid during the Spanish Inquisition, I think it says on the back. She is a scullery maid. Her mistress, the lady she works for, is not very nice at all. So far, Lucia is trying to hide that she is Jewish, and she's trying to hide that she has magic. The cook burnt bread and she made it not burnt. And she said she's not so good at haggling, so when she goes to the market, she just multiplies the amount of eggs that she comes back with, or the chickens or whatever. So that's where I am, 2 chapters in. And then I went to sleep. I'm quite nervous for this book because I know that it had very mixed reviews. And by that I mean, I think everyone I follow on Goodreads or YouTube who read this book didn't really like it. And that concerns me. But I also think if I go in with those negative expectations, maybe it'll be better than I think. Because again, it takes place during history, the Spanish Inquisition. That's so cool. Leigh Bardugo knows how to write historical events. And I love historical fiction. So I'm maybe leaning on the fact that a lot of these people I follow don't really read historical fiction. I'm gonna read as much of this as I can today while still enjoying my life. I'm gonna go for a run today. I'm gonna eat breakfast now and chill for a little bit. I'm not gonna read this morning. I think I'm just gonna watch some YouTube, and I've been playing a game on my iPad that I'm kind of obsessed with. So I'm gonna do that this morning, and then I will read later. I'll let you know how it goes. 10 chapters in now, about 70 pages, and I'm still really liking this book. I think at its core, at this point, this is a book about women trying to make it in a world that is built for rich men in general. Because you have Lucia, the poor maid, you have her aunt who is a mistress to a man, then you have her employer who was married off by her family and just fulfilling her duty. Loveless marriage, really just women can't win, and they're just doing their best to survive in this world. Spain in, when was the Inquisition? Like the 1600s, I want to say. When was the Spanish Inquisition? It was long. 1478 to 1834. I'm pretty sure that when they're referencing the whore queen of England, it's Queen Elizabeth I. So that's going to be like late 1500s is when this takes place. And women are just trying to survive in any way that they can. And I think that is a wonderful thing to read about, because you want to judge them for the choices that they're making, but you can't judge them because they have no rights and there's nothing they can do about it other than trying to get ahead even that little bit to survive. Everyone is playing a game. Even the men, they're all playing a game. Everyone just wants to get ahead, just they have an easier shot at it because they're men. Gets right in immediately. I am getting into what I think is the meat of the story already. It's not a long book, so that makes sense that it starts really at like chapter 9 or 10. So 50 pages in, you're getting into it. So she's performing these little miracles, magic spells that she can do, and she gets noticed, of course, because it's the Inquisition, and is it from God or is it from the devil? So there's these religious undertones, which are actually overtones because they're huge, obviously. And she has caught some important people's attention. So she is now going to La Casilla. She's going to La Casilla. So she's going to be cleaned up, and she has this patron now who wants to teach her some things, and she's going to perform for the right-hand man of the king, Perez. It seems like it might be a little bit of a trial situation or like a competition, which I didn't expect going into this, but I think I'm going to really like that aspect. I love something with competition or trials, and I'm hoping she meets a few new characters. Right now I really like Lucia, but I don't love any of the side characters, so I am hoping we get a few more characters who I like better. I think it will make a more interesting story if I see who she's up against and if they're fakers or if they actually also have magic. I don't know. So that's where I'm at now. I'm hoping it stays good. I'm gonna make dinner now, probably read some more in bed before I go to sleep tonight. Hello, I am just sitting down to eat some lunch, but I just thought I'd let you know that I am halfway through The Familiar, I think, like almost exactly. Chapter 26, the trials have officially begun. I am getting 5-star feelings. So I will keep you updated when I finish this book today for sure. But currently, kind of obsessed with the fact that my opinion has changed on almost every character and the way that the story is flowing, the magic system and the way it works and the secrecy. Anyway, I'm obsessed. The good news is I finished this today. So I read 200 pages today, found the time. I mean, it's a Tuesday night and I didn't have to leave the house. And the great news is it stayed 5 stars. This is a 5-star book for me. I don't know if that was helped because I went in with negative expectations or if it's just because I loved it, because I loved it. I love the use of real historical characters and putting magic in there, very similar to what she did with the last book. The introduction of history just makes these books amazing. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It is a tragic story, and it is not the story in how I went in expecting it to go. And I think that that is phenomenal. I love that. My expectations just kept changing, and I absolutely loved this book. Lots of tabs, lots of good quotes. The writing, I think she outdid herself with the writing. That's why I'm so confused. Whatever. I don't care about the opinion of other people. I loved it. That's what matters. It felt like reading a modern day Shakespeare story, and I was thinking that, and then in her acknowledgements she said Antonio Perez was a real person and he had a fall from grace and a flight from Spain. He ended up in England where he is believed to have inspired the character and caricature of Don Adriano de Armado in Love's Labour's Lost by Shakespeare. You know, she did her job well, because I loved this book. I thought it was so good. I'm scared to read the negative reviews because I don't want people to sway my decision because it's a 5-star book and I will not be swayed. And now I get to add this to my Leigh Bardugo shelf and it is complete, at least until her next book comes out next year. And that is very nice. You know what? Let's do it now. Ta-da! Finished. And now I may as well stay here because I have my next book right here, which is Goldfinch. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. The last thing for my book bingo, I was gonna grab my reading journal, it's upstairs, is to read a book set in the Netherlands. I was hoping to find one set in Friesland because that's where my family's from. That's where my mom was born. I thought that's a cool book bingo. And alas, I couldn't find any that have been translated into English. So next best thing is Holland. So We are reading The Goldfinch because it is set in Amsterdam. I read the first 2 pages while I waited for something to export, and it says, while I was still in Amsterdam, and it's Christmas when it starts, apparently. So that is the next book. It's 750 pages, which normally is fine, but like I said, it's Tuesday night, and I would like to finish this by Friday night, and I am busy the next 2 evenings. It's 8 p.m. I usually go to bed at 9, but I can sleep in tomorrow because it's rest day. So let's go. Take it on together. I hear great things about this book, but the last one I didn't hear great things about and I loved it, so does that mean anything to me anymore? All right, I made it until 9:30 last night and I was on and off my phone the entire time, so I'm only like 45 pages in. So it's 3:30 now. I'm going to lock in for the next like 2 hours until I have to eat dinner and leave the house. Okay, let's read. I think my current thoughts 40 pages in are, it's very descriptive. I don't care enough about her character yet to care about his experience at 13 years old in as many words as he's giving me. But it really sets the scene, which is good. I think it's just more descriptive than I was expecting. But maybe that's just because I read it before bed. So let's see what the sun is still out. I have more energy, Carla thinks. Oh. Construction sound is kind of driving me nuts. I might go get my headphones and put on some pink noise or something. Are you still sitting here or can I sit here? I like this spot better. Cool. Let's move. I'm just restless. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. Still feeling distracted. I think I'll make a coffee. Let's have a coffee. At least I'm in soundscape bliss. Eggnog, shall we? FYI, she is decaf. I'm not crazy. It's 4 p.m. I'm now 100 pages in. I briefly listened to the audiobook while I was driving, and it has a very good narrator. Don't know how much time I have left on Spotify with audiobooks just because I listen to a lot of insomnia on there. I don't want to overuse it, so I'm still going to read as much as I can, but it's already Wednesday and I have like this video up on Sunday before I start Vlogmas. That leaves me with a lot of work to do. But anyway, so far we have met Theo, and it does start in the Netherlands with him as an adult, and it seems like he's wanted for something. He only comes out of his hotel room at nighttime to get the newspaper to see if he's mentioned in the newspaper. That's more like a prologue situation, and right after that, up to now, we are with 13-year-old Theo, whose mother has just died, and he has been taken in by his friend's parents, and he doesn't really have other family, and he's not sure what's going to happen to him. That's kind of where we're at. He seems like a very intelligent kid, very emotionally intelligent. He understands what's going on, but he's just like trying to stay numb to it. So I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I'm not sure what he's on the run from as an adult. I'm not sure why we're getting so much of him at 13 years old, but I am going to keep going. It is 9:15 and my alarm is going off at 5:30 in the morning. So I think I'll try to stay up until 10:30 and get 7 hours. That sounds pretty good. I'm gonna put my pajamas on and I'm gonna keep reading and hopefully make a good dent in this tomorrow. We'll see.
I miss her. What'd she die of? She got sick. Didn't see her. You can look in on her while she was in the bathroom. She could hear her breathing, just inside the curtains. Then she put the lollipop carefully back on the wrapper and said, "She seems nice." The hand with the sheer curtain brushed the windowsill. Here, the goat foot. Yeah, I don't know. I like to read. That series of rooftops, water towers.
Okay, I'm about 300 pages in, so almost halfway, which is a great omen for Thursday afternoon. I am just having coffee and some Pop-Tarts while I keep reading a little bit. And I have some thoughts at this point because we're still not in the Netherlands. We started in New York when he was 13 and now he is 15 years old and he's living in Las Vegas. I am wondering if I'm reading it for no reason, because if a few chapters of this don't take place in the Netherlands, I can't check it off my book bingo in good conscience just because it starts there. It seems as though he is writing this from the Netherlands based on the first chapter, but then after that, it's all just his childhood. And the reason I know he's writing it is because sometimes he'll be like, oh, so-and-so, I don't actually remember their name. So you know that he's reminiscing about the past. At the point I'm at now is a story of Theo honestly being let down by the adults around him and being mistreated. And then his friend, who he met in Vegas, Boris, the same situation, but possibly worse. Just the adults in their lives are not doing what they should for these kids. And his whole life has changed after his mother dies. And, you know, he's moved across the country and he just is living in an awful situation. I am at the point now where I feel like something needs to change soon. It is just so far a year and a half of him just going through shit, honestly. It's feeling like I'm drudging through it because of that. Like, I'm just sad. And I hope his situation changes soon or that we skip a few years or something. I'm really curious what he's doing in the Netherlands at the beginning and why he's on the run for whatever this problem is. There is a man named Hobie, and he is my saving grace in this book. And I wish that there was a little bit more of him, but every time he's mentioned, I'm like, okay, good, something light. He is the only good influence in this boy's life, and he is a very important character, and I wish he got to see more of him or hear of him more because it's just so sad. There is a piece of art in his possession called the Goldfinch, and his mom worked as an art dealer of some kind, and she loved art, and they were at a museum together all the time. He keeps it to himself because it reminds him of her, and it's this tie to her, and it is kind of a string throughout the storyline, hence the title being The Goldfinch. It's interesting because sometimes it prattles on and I don't really understand the flow of it, but it's still very distinguishable what the storyline is and what's going on. It just is written like real life. I have some things to do today, but I'm going to read as much as I possibly can. And I guess I have more Spotify time than I thought because I listened while I walked the dogs, while I drove, and while I got ready for the day and had breakfast and stuff. So I have more audiobook time than I thought, but I am still going to read anytime I can just in case it runs out, and I'll just use it when I'm driving and stuff like that. But those are my updates. All right, I have about 200 pages left, and I woke up bright and early this morning because I couldn't sleep, not to read, but I did end up reading. So I have 200 pages left. I'm going to try to finish this as fast as I can. At my last update, we were with 15, 16-year-old Theo, and then it skips 8 years, and suddenly he's back in New York, and things are just happening, and it's crazy, and I'm like, this is where it gets good, but also where he does some more shady shit, and I like him less, so it sucks where the book is getting better, but my appreciation for Theo as a character is way down. I'm wondering what made him make a decision suddenly 8 years later that I thought he was growing out of. So it's unfortunate, but also maybe realistic. I don't know. We are currently waiting for things to catch up to him. And I don't like this feeling because I think we're getting to the point where we are at the beginning of the book where he's on the run. And I'm really hoping some specific things don't happen. And I'm thinking some other things need to happen. He's very bad at having an intentional conversation and thinking about his own feelings throughout it. I feel like he's always trying to please other people while just surviving, and it's very sad. It makes me very sad, and there is a return of a character that I don't love, and so I'm thinking that's not going to help him. There is an interesting through plot tied to the Goldfinch that is interesting and not like something I would expect to see in a book, and it's really leading a lot of Theo's choices. Not that I agree with those choices, but it kind of is the reason he feels like he can make these decisions in his life that he's making. So it's interesting. I hear that the last 150 pages can rock people, so I thought I'd check in right before I get to that point, just because I'm expecting it to do the same for me. I'm not sure. At this point, with 200 pages left, I am not sure why this is so highly regarded. I love the writing and the characterization. I'm finding the story a bit lacking. So I hope I get something more out of it. Obviously, I'm reading it a lot faster than I expected because I can't really stop. I'm going to be done a day before I thought, even though it's huge. But I just am not currently understanding the hype. I might eat my words. I totally might eat my words once I get to the point that everyone's talking about, but also I don't like the thought of watching a TV show and everyone's saying you just have to get through the first season, and this feels like you just have to get through the first half of the book at this point. Not my favorite thing to say. Anyway, those are my current thoughts. I'm going to keep reading. Last 100 pages and I'm not enjoying myself. I'm just annoyed with everything going on and I'm liking it less at this point. I think this is not the book I signed on to read. A World of Crime. Let's finish it quickly, but I'm just annoyed. I'm just so annoyed. But I think we're finally going back to the Netherlands, so I hope that's true so I can cross it off. Am I hate reading at this point? I don't think so. It's good, like, this part's good. It has been a little bit of time. I was going to pop on right when I finished the book, and then I thought, you know what? I better sit on a little while, because my first thought was, how on earth do so many people rave about this book and give it 5 stars? And then I ate a little, I got ready for the day, thinking about this book. I don't think that I would have DNF'd it, but I don't think I would ever recommend it. So I'm sitting somewhere in the middle at like a 2.5, 3 star, I think 2.5, which I hate to say, but I didn't love it. I hate read it for a little bit. And like I said, I enjoyed like, not even that much, like this piece. It's a new part in the book and it's like 8 years later. That for like 150 pages-ish, I really, really enjoyed that part of the story. I was like, okay, we've got the prologue. It went on a little long and I didn't like the extra characters, but now we have him. We have him as a 25-year-old-ish, and I was really enjoying it. And then I didn't like it anymore, and the end of the book, I don't get why people love it so much. Okay, actually, I take that back. Like I said, my initial thought was, how do people like this? I do understand. It is wonderful writing, and it is a unique story. So I understand why people would like it, just because it's something different and fresh and new. And I can appreciate that for what it is. I did not find it suspenseful, which I think it was supposed to be. I just got annoyed. I didn't like the characters. I was like, why are we suddenly in this big intense thing that should, I think, feel more intense than it does? And I just want to skip it and see what happens after, because I was expecting this. These are the people that he's associating himself with. I cared more about his job. I don't want to say what it is in case people want to read this, but I cared more about his job when he finished school and he was working and just going about his days. I was like, this is what I want to learn about. This other stuff I could do without. I don't know. I didn't feel like it ended very resolutely. It didn't end the way I wanted it to. I'm kind of mad at everybody at the end of this book. I don't know. This was not for me. And I hate ending on that note. Hey, I'm glad I could read 2 Leigh Bardugo books and get something positive out of this because I loved her books, but I could do without this. I'm kind of bummed. I think I went in with high expectations. I actually screenshotted someone's review of this book on Goodreads because it was exactly how I was feeling. Never have I gone into a book this blind and still felt like it wasn't what I expected. Yes, that kind of sums up my thoughts as well. So, this much takes place in Amsterdam. So, as guilty as I might feel crossing it off, I am going to cross it off. Because when I Googled books that are set in the Netherlands, this was the one that kept coming up. I'm going to trust the internet on this one. I'm going to say that is enough of it, even though I would say this book is set in New York, primarily. I don't think I regret it, which is why I'm debating a 3 instead of a 2.5. But I didn't like it. And that concludes this reading vlog. So, thanks for watching. The next time you see me will be Vlogmas Day 1. For you will be December 2nd, which is coming up very soon. So I gotta get this out so that I can focus on that. So thank you for watching and see you next time.